I wanted to start, Rabbi gave the sermon last week and he told a almost funny joke, which was sort of good. And so I figured I'm not going to tell jokes, that's not going to be my geshtiche, but I'm going to tell funny stories, and most of the funny stories are about me because they're embarrassing stories, right? Embarrassing stories. So I want to start with today. So I've been here a month, and Bill Croydon said to me yesterday, Rabbi, we're going to give you this master key, but do me a favor, don't lose it. Yesterday. He hands it to me sort of judiciously, and of course, what happened? I lost the key. However, there is a God in the universe, and so the key was rediscovered by one of the maintenance staff. I had left it in a doorway in the kitchen when I snuck in to get a snack, which I was told was okay, but I left it in the doorway. So my new tradition will be to leave the key there for anybody who's hungry. You can go and find for yourself a little snack. But I'm mortified, but thank God we found the key, because he said to me, this key is expensive to make again. So we found the key, all is good in the world, and we can move forward. So you can tell jokes, and I'll tell funny stories or embarrassing stories about me, and there are lots of them. When my kids come to town, they'll tell you lots of good ones too. So friends, Shabbat Shalom. Let's try that again. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. This week's Torah portion opens with the phrase, Elu Hadvarim. These are the words. Elu Hadvarim. And as I said earlier, interesting, right? Sort of strange that a man who was a Kvad Peh, Moses, talks so much. Elu Hadvarim. This opening phrase refers to Moses' final words, which will happen over the course of the next few weeks in three major speeches, orations. These speeches were given to the Israelites as they were about to complete their journey. They already knew that they weren't going to make it into the land. Maybe Moses felt a little freer to chastise them, to give them a little bit of, as we say in Yiddish, Musar, to give them a little bit of chastisement and correction. This is the first portion in the book of Deuteronomy, which of course is the last of the 5 books of the Pentateuch, which recaps the entirety of the traversion of the Israelites coming from Egypt and making their way to Eretz Yisrael. And of course, it begins with the words, Ele Hadvarim. These are the words. And you know, friends, we live in a time when words are complicated and often dangerous. We use words at work with our colleagues. Think about what you did this week. With our leaders, civic, political, regional, national, international, religious, amongst our family members, between parents and children and parents, grandparents. And often they're weighty words. Often they're challenging words. Often they're difficult words. And we need to know that our words are reviewed and they're scrutinized by everyone, by all of us. We know words can do a great deal of good, but we also know that words can do a great deal of damage. They can comfort and they can soothe and they can heal. Through them, people can attack one another, or they can console one another. They can provide new insights and new opportunities. They can mislead, and they can stoke fear, and they can promote and seed understanding and coexistence. We use them to commit ourselves to action. I promise that I will pledge, I'll do this. We use them to express our love and our fidelity and our fealty. In our Torah, we read that God used words to create the world. Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam. God spoke and the world came into being. And God even used words to help create human beings. Our Jewish tradition is clear. Words, what we call dvarim, they have efficacy and they possess power, sacred power. And we, the speakers, are responsible for everything we say, everything that comes out of our mouths. So we must be very careful and judicious, and trust me when I tell you, I am not perfect at this. I do the best that I can, and I spend a lot of time saying, now that I live in Canada, I'm sorry. At a time when we cannot control what others are saying around us, it's important, I think, to turn to Judaism, because Judaism reminds us that we are a countercultural group of individuals. We are intentionally different than other people. In fact, the word kadosh does not mean holy. It means separate, distinct, and different. And we are an am kadosh. We are a holy people because we don't act in ways that other people act. We are iconoclastic, right? We try to be different. We try to break down the norms. So I want to share with you two ideas which I hope will remind you of what it means to use language well. Rabbi Salanter, who founded the Musar movement, Rabbi Salanter, that's the name. It's a movement of mindfulness, and it's a movement that understood how weighty our conversations can be. He suggests that in order to create a thoughtful, constructive speech, we need to make time to review our words before they leave our mouths. To prepare for a meeting means you need to prepare for a meeting. So often we just talk, right? It sort of comes out of our mouths. And we exaggerate many things, and we try to be cute, and we try to be funny, we try to be interesting. We speak ill of other people because on some level that gives us some common ground with the person that we're talking to spill the tea, they say now in the United States amongst the kids, to have a little bit of lashon hara, to speak evil. This was true 200 years ago when the Salanter rabbi lived, and it's true today. And so he suggests that before speaking we pause and take 3 steps. Number 1, ask ourselves, is what we're about to say, is it true? Good place to start. Second, is it kind? Is it kind? That's the second thing to ask. And third, and this one might throw you, is it necessary? Sometimes shtika, just being quiet, is better than saying anything else. I visited with a very sick woman, too young, breaks my heart, in her early 40s. If she sees another week, it will be miraculous. And I went to see her, and through her morphine and through her pain, I asked her, is there anything I can do? And she said, just sit here quietly with me. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Let's adopt that before we talk. Second piece. The Baal Shem Tov, the master of the good name, the founder of what we call today Hasidism. All Hasidism started with the Baal Shem. And he teaches that every person is allocated a set number of words in their lifetime. And here's the problem. If you just talk and talk and talk, what happens? You use your quota. And then what has to happen? Either you stop talking or, God forbid, you die. Since I don't know how many words anybody has, myself included, I think it's important that we use the words wisely, judiciously, spelled that J-E-W, judiciously. Do I want to waste my words, or do I want to use them at the appropriate moment in time? Do I want to use my words to hurt, or do I want to use my words to love? My friends, in an era when so many are using their words to foment hatred, to hurt others, to breed mistrust and dismantle communities, we must ask ourselves at this moment of time, what are we going to do with the words that are allotted to us? Do we speak to uplift, or do we speak to crush? Do we speak to abuse, or do we speak to heal? So many words stay with us for our lifetimes. The first words of our children. Remember when your kids first spoke, if you have kids, or the first words that you remember memorizing in a poem when you were a child, or the first words of Torah that you learned, or the first words of tefillah that you were able to utter. Think back. Think back to the words of friends who took their leave of this earth. What were the words that they spoke to you and you spoke to them? What are the words by which we will be remembered? What are the Devarim for which we want to be recalled by those who come after us? Several ancient teachings suggest that words are like arrows. Once released, they cannot be taken back, and arriving at their target, they burrow deep inside. Think about those moments when somebody has said something to you that burrow deep inside. They are potentially very dangerous. They are weapons which can do terrible damage to others. But like a seed planted in deep, fertile ground, words can also be beautiful. And that something deep and wonderful and blessed comes from those words because they come from a place of deep love and deep concern. We are taught that the temple was destroyed on this coming day of Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, not once, but twice. And the rabbis asked the question, why? And the easy answer is, of course, they didn't follow the halakha, they didn't follow the laws of the Jewish people, they didn't keep kosher, they didn't keep Shabbat. But the rabbis say something else. The temples were destroyed not because of lack of punctilious adherence to halakha, but rather because of something else. It's called sinat chinam. It's baseless, unnecessary hatred. To dislike somebody even before you know who they are, even before you've had a chance to hear one word utter forth from their mouth, before you have an understanding of their life history and their story, their background, and what they do, we already dislike them for whatever the reason might be. We don't like their hairdo, we don't like their glasses, we don't like their tie, we don't like something about them, and we've made a determination already that we're not going to like them. That's what our tradition calls sinat chinam. And it's because of that that the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed. And it's because of that, my friends, I will tell you that we continue to live in galut, to live outside the land of Israel, to live outside of the best places that we need to live, to be the best versions of ourselves. We need to be able to inhabit spaces that move us and have meaning for us. But because of this baseless hatred, we have not achieved our goal. So I want to tell you that there's always an antidote. The Holy Blessed One never sends a sickness for which there isn't a refuah. That's what the Talmud said. There isn't healing. So here's the healing. Since sinat chinam, baseless hatred, destroyed our reality, let us turn in the direction of ahavat chinam. Let's give away love. I know it's not the 60s anymore. We don't talk about free love in the same kind of way. I don't mean it that way. What I want you to do is reach out to somebody. Do a little tikkun, repair the world by reaching out to somebody who's not feeling well, somebody who's not doing well, somebody who could use a little pick-me-up, somebody could use a cup of coffee, as we say where I come from. Let us have ahavat chinam, gratuitous and unqualified and unmitigated love, so that we can turn the tide in the direction of a world that is filled with love. And so, my friends, may we, each of us and all of us, have the zechut, have the merit to live a life of this sort, filled to overflowing with ahavat chinam, and thus help transform ourselves, our communities, and our planet into a place of shefa elyon, of unlimited and unmitigated blessing. And let us all say together, Amen. Shabbat Shalom.